Good morning, all. It's Thursday, November 7th. I'm John Weigell here with Juliet, Bennett, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. The berry business and big tech are now working together. At least LA-based company Agrotech is making that happen. The company is integrating AI, software, and hardware into its process for making the juiciest berries in town. And that's earned them about a $1 billion valuation. So how'd they do it? And what's the demand like for these berries? We'll get to that in a bit, but first let's give you the hits and headlines in business and tech. Okay, to start today with the election, Donald Trump's win for another term in the White House coincided with a sharp rise in the stock market. Notably, and perhaps predictably, Tesla shares soared over 8% during after-hours trading on election night. Next, AI search startup Perplexity is also having quite a good week. A new funding round has tripled the company's valuation to a staggering $9 billion after raising $500 million in its fourth funding round just this year. Watch out, Google and OpenAI, competition's here. Moving over to Apple, Apple is set to receive the first actual fine from the EU's new digital antitrust rules for big tech after months of speculation. The fine is for Apple's anti-competitive App Store practices, and no, it doesn't have a price tag yet, but it will soon. From there, we go to Nintendo. Nintendo is finally back in the console business. They announced on Wednesday that their follow-up to the hugely successful Nintendo Switch, release date TBD still, of course, will be able to play Switch games. The company's stock rose about 4.7% after the announcement. What do you make of this announcement, Juliet?
I think it's a great announcement, even as someone who does not have a Switch, because I'll tell you what I did have. I had an Oculus Quest. And then, now it's a Meta Quest.
That's tough.
They were like, yeah, now what you have is a pile of junk, basically, because F you.
Yeah, essentially, yes.
And there's a lot of conversation around gaming, around like you don't really own your games anymore. It's all in the cloud. You have a license for a game, but you don't really have the game. And it's like, I appreciate when a company is like, yeah, you can still play the games you bought. You can still have all the points you earn. You can still log in and see your achievements. I don't know if they do that on the Switch, but I know that's important to some people in gaming,
Yeah, for sure.
If I want to go back into my Witcher 3 save file from the pandemic, I want to be able to do that. I bought and paid for that game. So
exactly.
I think this is a good move for Nintendo. I think people will appreciate that, especially given all of the talk about the impermanence of gaming lately.
Yeah, always smart to offer some backwards compatibility. And I'm just excited that Nintendo is actually announcing stuff pertaining to a new system because the Switch came out in 2017. So it's been quite a bit. And I have the original one. So it's kind of on its last legs, poor thing.
Right. And they did a little fake out by saying, hey, we got an alarm clock.
Yeah, they did.
The reviews of that alarm clock are great. People are loving it. But I think this is the announcement that people wanted.
Right. It looks cool. Can't play the new Zelda, but it's a pretty cool clock.
It can play Doom, though, as we learned.
It can. Yes, that's true. And finally, Italy Comunica, a communications company, is selling sealed 13.5-ounce cans of Lake Como air. The company says the cans contain, quote, pure air from the most beautiful lake in the world and are, quote, a luxurious souvenir for when tourists need a whiff of their past vacation. So, Juliet, I'm a bit confused as to why they're selling the air from Lake Como instead of the water from Lake Como. But I suppose it is very good air as well.
Yeah. I have heard stories of people selling other types of air on OnlyFans for people with a particular
that kind
fetish.
Of air. Yep.
And I'm afraid I don't understand either. Vampires, according to legend, have to carry a bit of their home soil, like dirt from where they're from. They can't rest without it. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's some sort of mythological reason why one would need a can of air, but it's an odd purchase.
It is a strange one.
And also, like, once you take the whiff of your vacation, that's it, right? Like, because now it's mixed with all the other air. Yeah.
It's just mostly like you just put it there and like it's like a vintage wine you never open, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
But I guess, does it cost as much as a vintage wine? And I'll let you guys know that in the bottom of the ninth of the pod right after the main story. So stick around for that.
Remember how marketing used to be?
Content was simpler to create, leads were easier to capture, and we weren't all spread so thin. Bottom line, marketing used to be fun. But with HubSpot's newly launched marketing and content hubs, you'll generate better content, more leads, and next level results so marketing can be fun again. With tools like Content Remix to turn existing assets into all new pieces in just a click, lead scoring to shine a light on the leads most likely to purchase, and Analytics Suite to tackle out-of-the-box reports and KPIs with a goldmine of AI-powered insights, it's quick to get you results. It's easy to use, it connects all your teams and data, so put the fun back in your marketing funnel with HubSpot. Visit HubSpot.com to get started for free. And speaking of our main story today, the story is about the unexpectedly lucrative world of tech and also fruits. Juliet, can you start by just telling us about this fruit tech company, Agrovision, which also sounds like aggressive vision?
Yeah, so they are aggressive about berries, I'll tell you that. Yeah, this is a really interesting company because, when you think about farming, you don't think about tech. I don't know, I just think about like a guy out in the fields.
Picking the berries, doing the thing.
Yeah, that like chases Peter Rabbit around. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of like a very wholesome, but no, that's not what farming is today. We know that. We've talked about tech in farming before. We talked about that little robot that goes into the grain silos. This is another example of tech making its way into agriculture. So Agrovision sells berries. That's what they got right now. Their first product was blueberries, but they also have raspberries, blackberries. When you go to the store, if they're in Costco, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, you won't see Agrovision. You will see either Fruitist or Big Sky brands. So maybe you've seen these berries before. They are a little bit pricier than your standard blueberry, but they are different. I did a little taste test. They're a lot bigger and rounder, and they're crunchier, which is not something I thought about with a blueberry, but they're crunchier. So like if you put them on top of a yogurt or you eat them by themselves, the difference is notable. If you put them in a blender or bake them down into a compote, it would probably not be as noticeable. But CEO Steve Megami told The Hustle, that's not what these are for. These are premium snacks. So don't put them in your blender. These are for snacking. And that could explain why this company actually reached a $1 billion valuation in August. People love the berries.
So, I mean, something like this has been big news for a while. Other companies in the California area have done like, the pink pineapple fiasco. Yeah. There's been kind of a lot of innovation in fruits lately, and this seems to be kind of the latest one. And I guess good news for everybody that likes to snack on a blueberry every once in a while. These seem kind of like the premium version of that snack. But I guess the idea here from Agrovision, how did they kind of start to do this? And how do they integrate tech into their operations to actually produce these very crunchy blueberries?
Yeah, that was my number one question. I'm like, where's the tech? Let's talk about it.
Right, where's the tech? Yeah.
So they have these R&D programs where they're breeding berry varietals, which, that's how you get the giant strawberries, the pink pineapples. That's also how you get weird little dogs. You breed for the traits. So they're looking for varietals that have the best flavor, the best nutrition, the longest shelf life. Also, climate resilience is a big thing. That's going to be a big thing coming up here. And one thing that's interesting about Agrovision is they're vertically integrated. So, let's say there's another berry company, there's another fruit company. They might have producers all over the world and farms that work for them. But Agrovision, it oversees its own farms. It almost sounded like someone was explaining to me how wine is made with a particular terroir. Like it's like, yeah, it's microclimates, and they've got microclimates in Peru, the United States, Morocco, a handful of other places.
Wow.
And that is where they're overseeing the production of the berries, which of course they're always testing and R&Ding for like what's the best, what makes the best berry. They were also saying they incorporate a lot of AI. And I was like, all right, well, where and how? Yeah. And, it's not that unexpected, but it's like, okay, we'll feed it this data set and it'll tell us when's the best time to plant, when's the best time to harvest. It can do QA work. When you're talking about all of these farms and all of these seasonal workers, you're talking about thousands of people. That's where AI can come in and help schedule those workers and, make everything as efficient as possible. They also have partnered with a company that I thought was pretty interesting called Ripe Locker, and they make vacuum storage chambers to preserve freshness. So when you think about by the time you get a berry at the store, that berry's been picked and it's been put on a truck and now it's been in the warehouse. And so, the longer you can preserve the freshness of a fruit, the longer it's going to stay fresh in your house, which in my case, when I order groceries, I'm like, man, I just got these raspberries yesterday. So the idea with fruit is like, yeah, you're going to be able to have these berries for longer and you're going to get through the whole pack and there's not going to be mushy spoiled ones. And that's the idea. So they talk a lot about berry roulette, which is the idea that, yeah, you get a package of berries and some of them are already mushy. Some of them are already spoiling. You got to go through the whole thing.
Right. Yeah.
And this is why they consider themselves a premium snack product. The idea is this package of berries, they're all going to be good and you're going to get through the whole thing.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a good way to do it. That'll fix a lot of the problems that we have at the grocery store buying fruits, as you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And what are they looking to do in the future? How are they looking to enhance this technology? Because it seems like the AI right now and the tech side of it is mostly for like the support. It seems the growing, all of that is kind of happening as it would usually happen. But everything informing the growing is coming from the AI and kind of the software.
Yeah, well, I think part of it is just that, you know, as a vertically integrated company, they have so much control over every piece of the process, from deciding, you know, what varietal they're going to plant, where they're going to plant it, when they're going to harvest it, when they're going to pick it, who's going to do that. Like, I think that control is important. And then there's also a lot of R&D that's geared toward building a berry that is like a new kind of berry. So like a more antioxidant-rich blueberry, a seedless cherry, which if you're somebody who's ever made a cherry pie from scratch, the pitting process is very annoying.
Oh, God.
So I think there's going to be a lot of tech there, it sounds like. I mean, obviously they have to keep some things close to the vest, but it sounds like there's going to be a lot more R&D and like, how far can we push these berries? How interesting can we make them?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if they can keep up with Trader Joe's, because I feel like every time I walk in there, they always have like a plum apricot or like a cherry kiwi. I'm like, how do you do this? How do you keep doing this?
Yes.
So maybe they'll be able to compete.
There's always something super weird. You know, a couple years ago, I interviewed somebody. We did a story on the economics of a pumpkin patch. Oh. And he was saying that like whatever Martha Stewart or whoever the hot home decor person is picks, it's like the hot pumpkin of the year. That's the hot pumpkin of the year. And it was interesting how they were able to breed these pumpkins, because there's really only one kind of pumpkin that you eat that's a pumpkin pie pumpkin. But then there's all these other that are just decorative gourds, and they were able to breed them to have a bunch of warts and look really ugly, or this one that's sort of a pastel pink. So you can do all sorts of things if you're willing to play around with nature, I guess.
Cross-contaminating and creating some new breeds of fruit, potentially. That sounds lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, there is a happy medium between a great berry and turning yourself into a fly like Jeff Goldblum. So hopefully we'll see a lot more berry innovations. And truly, I do think there is something to paying more for a premium product that you're going to eat all of. I say this as someone that's about to throw away half a pack of spinach that I just bought.
Oh my God, the spinach goes quick. You got to stick a paper towel in there. Stick a paper towel in there when you get them.
That's the key?
Just,
okay.
Soaks up all the whatever they do. I don't even know what they do, but it helps for a few days. Yeah. And I guess the good news here is that, you know, although these premium fruit products and premium snack offerings kind of have been bogging me down a little bit, I feel like it is generally a good thing that we as a people are moving towards fruits as snacks instead of less healthy things. Of course, for a price, so not everybody's going to be able to afford this, but it is kind of good news that the aspirational snack of today is not a Twinkie, but a blueberry.
Yes. And you know, that makes a lot of sense, because when I was a kid and it'd be like, eat an apple, it'd be like one of those mushy sort of red, like, what are they, Macintosh?
Oh, God.
That's not an apple.
Like the Red Delicious. They are not delicious.
Oh, yeah.
Stop calling them that.
They suck. If someone had said, eat this Honeycrisp, I probably would have eaten a lot more Honeycrisp.
Honeycrisp is way good.
Yeah. To be clear, these aren't that much more expensive than the standard blueberry. So like, yeah, if we can move towards eating fruit, and nothing against hot Cheetos, but fewer hot Cheetos, I think in the long term, that will be good for us.
Agreed. All right, so we've arrived at the bottom of the ninth of the pod, and as promised, the company Italy Comunica is selling its 13.5 ounce cans of Lake Como Air for, you guessed it, $11 each. Not bad. Maybe you should pick one up on your next trip. All right, that'll do it for us today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Our editor today is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a ton more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go get yourself signed up at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at The Hustle Daily. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hi, everyone. It's Michael Calore, Director of Consumer Tech and Culture at Wired, here with my colleagues, senior writer Lauren Good.
Hello.
And Wired contributor Zoe Schiffer.
Hey, everyone.
We're here to tell you about our new podcast, Uncanny Valley, a show about the people, power, and influence of Silicon Valley.
Every week, we get together to talk about how technology and culture from the Valley is influencing our everyday lives.
We dig into questions like, will we ever get our privacy back? Is OpenAI for real? And how are Silicon Valley billionaires impacting U.S. elections?
The first episode of Uncanny Valley comes out on October 31st. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.